Very much, all very interesting. Who would like to come in and ask a question? Yes.
Only this. If you are a very famous studios of the brain, so these things are truth according of your study about the brain or not? You put that condition, so I ask.
Well, I think what I told about the brain, all this is experimentally more or less secure in the moment. I'm very much aware of the fact that science is falsifiable every morning, and that things that we now think are sure will turn out to be illusory in a couple of years. Nobody would have thought that quantum physics that classical physics was confronted with the problem of quantum physics. So we don't know what will happen tomorrow. But being minimalist or Occam's razor, taking what we seem to know, think to know, I didn't say anything we don't have some evidence for. I just put things together, maybe in a way that is not legitimate. When I talk to philosophers, they always bash me immediately and say that I make a category error. And then I have to shut up because I'm not a philosopher and I can't counter these arguments. So I'm an experimentalist, not a philosopher.
But your experimentation is open to this. That is important.
If I may ask, or maybe raise a question, ask a comment. You describe the construction of the mental world, the representations of the mental world, as something relatively late in evolution, if I understand correctly. And I wonder whether, in fact, can be earlier, because first of all, many animals are social, and they take into account the trajectories of other animals. They don't have the same capacity as we have to represent the thoughts of others, but they take into account the presence of others, the actions of others, the traces that are left by others.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah,
So I wonder whether the animate inanimate distinction is in fact much more ancient in evolution, and might explain that we apply this category of animate beings to clouds or to thunder, because this is a category that we have for a long time available in our minds.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I'm certainly in favor of a very slow and continuous process, starting with biological evolution, and then also the social evolution, cultural evolution must have been very, very. I'm struck by the fact that there were hundreds of thousands of years between the various forms of these silex instruments. How slow this is. Well, yeah, you are certainly right. Much of this has already started in animals. They have social interactions, and yeah, as I said, they may even have something like a theory of mind, at least a little bit. I wanted to have your input on that.
Well, I think that what I gather from people who work on that is that non-human primates have, and many other animals have, notion of degree of knowledge. So when they know something, it comes with a probabilistic value that this is true or false, and that's already a form of metacognition. They can act on the basis of this degree of knowing. So in particular, they know when they don't know much. They know when they are uncertain. And there are beautiful experiments showing that monkeys can use, for instance, a key to escape a decision because they think they don't know enough and they prefer not to take the decision. So that exists. What I think is particular to humans is the ability to know that what I know is completely different from what you know. So it's no longer degree of knowledge, it's completely different. You believe X, I believe not X. Okay. It's so-called false belief task. So you think that an object is hidden here, but in fact, I know that it's hidden there. That doesn't seem to be available to other animals than humans. And again, it involves a sort of negation, a formula that involves a negation, not X or something.
So the example for those who are not familiar with this theory of mind experiments is, if I hide this in my pocket, And then everybody saw this, and then they sent Stan out. And if I ask you, where do you think when Stan comes back, will he search for the thing? While he was out, I put it somewhere else. Those who have a theory of mind would say, well, he hadn't seen me changing this, so he would say it would still be there. But those who have no theory of mind would say, well, he will search where it is. So that's the difference. And animals can't do that.
That's a suggestion. Yeah, of course, all this is pending revision. And young children seem not to do that, at least not verbally, but non-verbally they might do it as early as 8 months or 10 months. Something like that. So I think it's still a matter of research.
Je dire un mot si tu permets.
Bien sûr.
I switch in English. I think that a historical speech, I have to congratulate a lot, because you are touching upon the very point of this meeting, biological process and by science. So you are explaining us how comes the religions, how the religion works. And this is very rich as a paper. We have to think more about what you have said. It's running so fast, but so convincing. I have to congratulate you.
Well, it's always dangerous if something is convincing, because it's likely to be wrong.
Thank you.
D'autres remarques, questions? Oui.
Maybe very briefly. I think you made a very convincing argument how spirituality, so to speak, may be treated like other priors of the external and the internal world, and how they may be integrated into our mental world, into our mental perception. Would your theory have anything to say on the need for spirituality, which many people seem to have? So there is a certain desire or a certain craving for spiritual, however it is being expressed, which can be very different, of course, very diverse.
Well, I left out the whole dimension of what our brains really want to do is make a model of the world. And it requires a seamless causal explanation of things happening. Because we want to predict the world, and so we think there are causal processes. So we want to have a cause for thunder, and we want to have a cause for lightnings, and we want to have a cause for drought and rain. And since we can't, at least those who started this evolution, cultural evolution, had no clue of where it came from. They had to postulate a force they couldn't see. So that would be another alley towards postulating an immaterial agent who does causation. And of course, our babies, children, when they grow, they have this strong need to understand what mental causation is. They get told that they shouldn't do this and they shouldn't do that, and then they experience that they can either do this or do that, and then they want to know why am I doing this, and then we offer them the construction of will and of intentionality, and they get all these terms internalized, and then they are in trouble when they get adult, because they then start to think, especially if they study neurobiology, where is this self sitting, and where is the will that influences my brain so that it does what the will wants? And so we create problems.
If I may say a word, I think there are beautiful experiments that fit completely with this point of view. When we look at objects, if they hit each other like that, we have absolutely no problem interpreting it as a causal physical relation, transfer of the momentum. If, however, we see an object moving by itself, we also don't have a problem. We just say it's an animal. And if we see now something like this, then we say it's not physics, it's this object desiring to go away. We interpret it as an animal, even though it's just a ball. And there is just a 500 millisecond delay that creates a difference between physics versus mental.
Mhm.
And so we cannot help interpret the world with these categories. And of course, as you said, it creates problems that need not be, perhaps. We see meaning and we think there is an intention behind it. There is none. It's physics too, but it's a sort of physics that does not fit with our intuitions of causality.
Yeah, and all non-linear problems, all non-linear dynamics, they solicit such sort of interpretations because we have no good intuition for them. Neither can we imagine very high dimensional systems and their dynamics. This is all not, we are not made for it. We like the world to be linear and predictable.
We can learn a little
we
bit,
can learn
some science.